So Manger uses the Megillah, the traditional Megillah story, to tell his own story. Um, and there's a tradition of that. I've come across a lot of biblically based plays that are really not about what they're ostensibly about. So with Manger, he was living in Warsaw when he wrote it in the poetry cycle. The music came much later. He was living in Warsaw in 1937, and so he kind of conflates the world. So it's got one foot in ancient Shushan and one foot in Warsaw in 1937. His big twist is that he gives Esther a nice Jewish boyfriend named Foster Gossa, who's really kind of a stand-in for Manger himself, who is just this, kind of hopeless romantic, and he's a tailor's apprentice, as Manger, his father owned a tailor shop, and he is unexplainably jilted by Esther. So Esther goes off into the beauty contest because her uncle Mordechai tells her to do so, and ends up, of course, being whisked off immediately and married, and there's no time to say goodbye, and there's no time to explain what happened. So all Foster Gossa knows is 1 minute he's in love, and it's reciprocal, and the next minute she's gone off and married not just anybody but the king. So she becomes the queen. He assumes that this is a power grab. He's angry at her, and of course he's angry at the king as well, as if he had stepped in and interrupted this relationship. So where it really gets clever is that Foster Gossa, in a fit of personal rage, attempts to assassinate Achashverosh. And Haman exploits this. One of the things that I think is incredibly important about this play that you don't see in many other places, because it was written in 1937 and it was written in Warsaw, is that it really explodes this concept of the Holocaust just like having started one day. Like everything was kind of like fine in Poland, and then September 1st, 1939 happened, and it was all downhill from there. And they forget to tell the part of the story that led up to those circumstances. And what Haman does is really quite clever. Not only does he exploit the fact that a Jew was a part of an assassination attempt and use that as a justification to unleash his plan, as we had seen with the Jews who were involved in the earlier Russian revolutions and the attempt on the Tsar's life, being used as an excuse for pogroms. He plays it out through the media. It goes out into newspaper editorials and headlines of oh, look what these Jews are up to, and that's really was a pivotal part, starting in the 20s, or really even earlier, that even before you get to like the Nazi propaganda paper Der Stürmer and Henry Ford's Dearborn Independent, that anti-Semitism was like a daily feature of the press, even the mainstream press in Europe. Starting really in like the 1890s, as newspapers really start to proliferate, you get anti-Semitic political cartoons and editorials, so that in the minds of the masses who are reading newspapers, it's so deeply ingrained by the time you get to the 30s. There's already this, I guess just widely accepted as fact, anti-Semitic stereotypes, so that we can kind of transition from, oh, these Jews, they bring, all sorts of social problems and crime and poverty and disease. And this is just all accepted. So then when it becomes time to say, they can't possibly have government jobs, they can't possibly, study in our universities, we must boycott their businesses. It was a step-by-step process. They must live separately. And then when they start disappearing, who notices? Because by then they're already out of public life. So Manger kind of like captures this specific place and time in a way that's not broadly documented.